Every once in a while, two movies from different eras feel like they're somehow speaking to each other. Not in plot, not in characters, but in spirit. Carl Sagan and Anne Droyun's Contact from 1997 and Christopher Nolan's Interstellar from 2014 are a pair like that. You can watch them years apart, even decades apart, and still walk away with the same feeling that science, emotion, and the mystery of the universe are all tangled up in ways we don't fully understand. So if Interstellar reminded you of Contact, you're not alone. There's something genuinely connective between them, and not in a shallow they both have wormholes and Matthew McConaughey kind of way. The films share deeper DNA, emotional, philosophical, and almost spiritual. A big link between the two movies is how they treat science, not as cold equations or sterile lab equipment, but as something intensely human. In Contact, Ellie Arroway searches the stars partly because she misses her father. Her scientific mission is powered by a mix of curiosity and grief, and that's exactly the kind of emotional complexity Carl Sagan believed was behind real scientific discovery. Interstellar does something similar. Cooper doesn't go into space because he's a detached, logic-driven astronaut. He goes because he wants a future for his kids. The movie layers hard science, black holes, relativity, higher dimensions, on top of a very personal motivation. Both stories remind us we don't explore the universe because we're rational, we explore it because we're emotional. Another thing these films share, they both imagine what it might be like to interact with something way beyond human understanding, and then make that interaction strangely tender. In Contact, the aliens communicate with Ellie through the familiar image of her father. In Interstellar, future humans reshape time into a space Cooper can move through. In both cases, an advanced intelligence is basically saying, "We know this is overwhelming, so here's something you can handle." It's a surprisingly kind vision of the cosmos. Mysterious, yes, but not hostile. For all their galactic scale, both movies keep coming back to family. In Contact, Ellie's relationship with her father shapes her entire journey. In Interstellar, Cooper and Murph's connection is the emotional engine of the movie, and eventually, the literal key to humanity's survival. This is one of the biggest reasons the films feel related. They treat love, memory, and loss not as distractions from the science, but as forces that make science meaningful. Sagan and Nolan, in their own ways, both imply that the universe is big, but the human heart still matters. And there's something especially striking about how both films center healthy, loving, daughter-father relationships. Something surprisingly rare in major science fiction. In Contact, Ellie's bond with her father isn't idealized, but it is nurturing, supportive, and foundational. Her father believes in her curiosity long before anyone else does, and that early encouragement becomes the lens through which she sees the universe. In Interstellar, Cooper and Murph share a similar emotional truth. Their relationship is grounded in trust, affection, and genuine mutual respect. Even when circumstances pull them apart, the foundation remains loving rather than conflicted or adversarial. The fact that both films choose this specific bond, a daughter finding strength in a father's belief in her, gives them a shared emotional architecture. It highlights a gentle, often overlooked truth: that scientific curiosity is often planted by someone who tells you early on that your questions matter. This parallel becomes one of the quietest but strongest threads tying the films together. They don't just explore the cosmos, they explore the kind of nurturing relationships that make such exploration possible in the first place. Another parallel, both protagonists go through something extraordinary that they can't fully prove. Ellie has hours of experience, but only minutes of recorded static.
Simply withdraw your testimony and concede that this journey to the center of the galaxy, in fact, never took place.
Because I can't. I had an experience. I can't prove it. I can't even explain it. But everything that I know as a human being, everything that I am tells me that it was real.
Cooper enters a tesseract no one else will ever see. In both cases, the world around them hesitates, doubts, or straight up dismisses what happened. And both films suggest that sometimes science requires a leap of faith. Not blind belief, but the willingness to trust that there is truth beyond current measurement. It's a surprisingly gentle take on the limits of knowledge. Even stylistically, the films feel related. They're both slow burn, contemplative stories. They let big ideas breathe. They balance awe with sadness, discovery with loneliness. Both films seem to say, yes, the universe is enormous. Yes, we're small. But the smallness is what makes our questions meaningful. That mood, half hopeful, half melancholic, is part of what ties them together so strongly. Where Interstellar and Contact meaningfully diverge is the topic of leaving the Earth versus fixing it. While Contact is ultimately about expanding humanity's understanding without abandoning our home, Interstellar leans into the idea that Earth is beyond saving. The film frames the mission to the stars as humanity's best chance for survival. But it raises a fair question. Was abandoning Earth truly the only option? The intellectual, scientific, and engineering power required to leave the Earth is staggering. And if you imagine redirecting that same effort toward repairing the planet, climate mitigation, agricultural innovation, ecological restoration, it becomes harder to accept that escaping was the only path. This isn't a flaw in the story so much as a philosophical difference. Interstellar imagines a future where Earth's decline is irreversible. It uses that premise to explore themes of sacrifice, endurance, and the drive to cultivate life elsewhere. But it also highlights a tension. Contact believes in fixing humanity from within, while Interstellar believes in saving humanity from without. So why does Interstellar feel like Contact's successor? Because both movies sit at that rare intersection where science feels real, emotions feel genuine, the universe feels huge, and humanity feels fragile but important. They're each, in their own way, love letters to curiosity. They see exploration not as a technical achievement, but as a deeply human one, driven by longing, connection, and the desire to understand our place in everything. So yes, Interstellar absolutely feels like a spiritual successor to Contact. Not because the plots line up, but because the soul does. Both films remind us that reaching out into the unknown is never just about physics or technology. It's about who we are, what we fear, and who we love.
Murph! 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 Murph!